Hello and welcome back. Today we are doing an API. We are going to do some fun API stuff. See what happens. Let's just get started. So I need a CRM. Looked at the options out there. They're all a little bit rubbish. Yeah, they're all focused on go to the web, click this, do that. That's not me. I want a raycast extension. I want a CLI tool. So I'm going to build it. I've got my project set up. It's a Laravel application. All I've done so far is remove some of the front-end dependencies, organize my routes, and migrate the database. Any changes to the database that I've done is a ULID for the user, clean it up a little bit. That is all. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me. So we've got a database, and if I come over to Aspen, what I can do is just go ahead and make a request and say crm.test. And I've updated the main route just to kind of give me a little bit like the about command in Laravel. So if I come here and just say about, this will give me a little bit of information, very similar to this. I'm not worrying about views because I don't want to use views. So what I want to do is just walk through building out this API. Now I've installed Sanctum, and that's going to be my authentication mechanism. The way that that's going to work is going to be that we will have an auth within here. So we're going to say auth.php, and let's declare some strict types. Let's make sure we got a good view. Let me check the screen. Yeah, that's reasonably good. So we're going to have a post route. Not that one. So we're just going to use that one, and we're going to say route post to login, name login, and let's go start building out our controllers. So inside HTTP, we can remove that one. This is only going to be an API. I will build a web front end, but it will be something like Nuxt or similar. So let's go create this login controller. There we go. So we're going to have a invoke method there, so we can go ahead and say make a request auth login request. What we're going to want to do is inject this here, login request as request, and this will return a response shortly. So let's just hook that up quickly. So then we can say up here, use app HTTP controllers auth. So down here, we can just say auth login controller. And there we go. We have got our first route. Now, if we come back to Aspen, what we want to do, let's just switch this over to a post and go to login. Excellente. So now we can load this into here. Let's just collapse that down. What we're going to do is route prefix auth adds auth group base path. So the path is that. And we're good. Now, when we send this request again, we're still getting 404. Auth. Wait a minute. Auth login. 403. This action is unauthorized. Why is that happening? Oh, wait a minute. Come over to here. Come over to this. Come over to that. Let's just remove all that rubbish. There we go. Send that again, and we get under 200. So now what we want to do is pass over our email, and that is going to be required. Must be an email. And we're going to say that it's got a max of 255. Password is required string. We're also going to set the max of 255 on that as well, so that we don't get any sort of issues there. So come back to Aspen, and when we press send, we get, oh, why is that redirecting? You should not be hitting that point. Okay, so login request. Let's just see what's going on. Auth login, login controller. Have we got some weird stuff going on? Let's just come back to our roots, and we are going to just ignore that one. Send 400. So apparently now auth login is not found. Prefix auth login. Now that's super strange. Let me do a quick test. CRM.test auth login. Method not allowed. Awesome. Cool. Not found, or found and redirected. So something funky dunky is going on here. Let's go have a look. How am I doing? I am doing good. I am doing pretty good. Let me just test this out. Swap this to a post. Why is that redirecting? Login controller. What we'll do here, dump. Is super duper strange. So we want to accept application. I'm assuming, there we go. The accept header needs to be set. So that's a good start, right? We know we need to start sending over our payload. So let's make sure we are, just delete that, set our accept header. We want to accept application JSON. So application JSON, send it again. There we go. So body, we want to send some JSON. So our email is just steved@gmail.com, and password. This will be our login. So perfect. We are getting somewhere. So down here, what we'll do is just ignore that, come back to Aspen, send it again. We're getting a 200. Now we can look at authenticating. We're going in the right direction. So the way I like to do this personally is to have an identity service. It just works for me. So let's say services, and we're going to add an identity service. So identity service. Now this identity service is going to have a couple of things injected into it. First thing is going to be the auth manager as auth, which means that can be read-only. And down here, public function login. Now, this needs to do some login functionality. However, I also like to do things the Steve way. Payloads. Let's create a new directory of auth and then login payload. So login payload, there we go. So this is going to be public function construct private read-only string for the email and private read-only string for the password. Fix up that. Public static function make. We've got an array of data, and that is going to return that login payload. Return new login payload, where the email is data email and the password is data password. Finally, we want to be able to say to array, where we return the array like so. Now that seems almost pointless. However, for the way that I like to do things, it makes sense. So come to the login request, and what we're going to want to do is have a public function payload, which is going to return a login payload. So we can return new login payload, where the email is this string email to string, and password is the exact same thing. So our identity thing here, what we want to do is accept a login payload as payload, and we're going to return a Boolean. So we can say return this auth attempt payload to array. So because it accepts credentials, the payload to array does what it needs to do. So over here, public function construct, let's inject the identity service, read-only identity service as service, make that read-only. So then we can say if this service login request payload, do some magic there, do something else here, and things are starting to line up. Is there a major benefit for using a payload class rather than the default request class? Yeah, Aspen. Aspen. What is the HTTP tool? Aspen, yeah. So I can come over here and say, generate a PHP value object for this request payload. And that'll just do some magical stuff. Ah, Coffee Fairy has arrived with coffee. Thank you, wife. So there we go. That'll create a request payload. All good, right? Nice and simple. I can use it if I need to. And the other question, so the major benefit for using a request payload is I can use it in multiple places, but also this is going to end up matching what my OpenAPI spec needs. So I can then model this based off my OpenAPI spec, make changes to this as required, and then I don't have to change it here or here or here. All I've got to do is change how that's being injected. I could maybe even just replace that bit with like login payload, make this validated. You know, that would pretty much do the same thing. So if I update that and update this, it would slowly build over time, and I don't have to worry about it anywhere else. Next step, I'm going to say make an exception authentication failure. There we go. So up here, we're going to throw a new authentication failure where the message is going to be invalid credentials. The code is going to be response HTTP. What is going to be the right one? Unauthorized, not quite. Probably forbidden or unprocessable entities, kind of correct, but it's not correct at the same time. So I'm going to stick with that. So at this point, we've got a user. And what we want to do on this identity service is say, okay, so at this point, public function create an API token. This is going to return a personal access token. Now this will accept a string as a name for the token, so that I can say return this auth user create token where the name is name, abilities is all, and expires at is null for now. So that's kind of what I'm starting with. Pretty sure that's meant to be an array. Yeah, it is. So I can default that to there. There we go. This needs to be like that. There we go. So we can then create a token in the login controller. We can say token equals this service, create token where the name is test for now. So at this point, we've got a personal access token and we can just start returning it. I suppose bad request might be a better option there. 400 bad request. You did something oopsies. That is such a better error message. You did an oopsie. Let's make error messages fun. Right, okay, so that's all of that. That's all of that. Payload's cool. Request is cool. Don't need the roots file right now. They're the defaults, so I can remove those. And that will then create this, which means in HTTP, I can also create a responses, and we're going to create a token response. I apologize about any background noise, by the way. My children are off school. So as you can imagine, it is loud. I feel sorry for my wife having it all day, but hey, what can we do, eh? Right, personal access token as token, so that when we say to response, let's just type this to a response. And we're going to return a new JSON response. The data is an array. And maybe we're going to do some headers. I don't know. We'll figure this part out. Make that read only. Come back to headers shortly. And what we're going to do is token is this token. Wait a minute. Create token returns a new access token. That's better. Because this new access token has got a couple of helper methods that I can actually use. Okay. There we go. So this token, plain text token. What other methods do I have? Import that. Right. Let's see. So plain text, we've got an access token, we've got a to JSON, we've got a to array. Now, I don't even know what that to array is going to do. Access and plain text token. So this access token will give us the personal access token. So we can actually get like the abilities and stuff, but right now I'm just going to say plain text. And say I'm happy with that. So if I have correct credentials, this will all work. So down here, we can return a new token response where the token is this service create token name test. Just remove that middle part there because it's no longer needed. So nice and simple, away we go. What is a DevRel CRM really? So it's a way for me as a developer relations person to kind of store contacts, events, and just general goings on for my day-to-day. But as a developer, it could also be handy. So this is going to return a token response. That is all good. So let's just go over to my database seeder. And what I'm going to do is ignore that ID error. That's what you get for being on the early access program sometimes, but you also get cool features sometimes as well. So you pick the rough with a smooth on that one. Right, Steve McDougall, and email, we're going to say just stevemcd@gmail.com. Let's just migrate that database. So migrate fresh and seed back to Aspen. Now if I send that, I get a token back. This is my API token. Woo! Right, so what I want to do is if I come over to Arc, for example, if I come to laravel.com docs, if I look at Sanctum, I am pretty sure I can use my own overriding default models. That's what I wanted to do. Use personal access token models. So I'm going to tweak. Let's see what happens if I say, this is our API token. This is going to extend personal access token. For now, that'll do. Fix our file. So if I come down to database migrations, personal access tokens, what I can actually do now is ULID, ID, primary key. Fantastic. There's all the timestamps. Clean up that. We can say that use has ULIDs. Migrate fresh and seed. Come over to our app service provider in the boot method. And what we can do is say import Sanctum and say API token. There we go. Now let's see if that does the same thing. Boop. Okay. Undefined error. Relation API tokens does not exist. Okay, so we need to add the table. Personal access tokens. Try that again. And there we go. We've got a nice big old token. So that means we can now authenticate. So let's make another request at this point of a logging. Yeah, they're all logging. That's good. So next up, what we're going to want to do is create an authenticated request to say, who am I? Now, we've already got this user going on here. So let's go and say user. If I send, just delete that body for now. Click none. Click send. Swap it to a get. Unauthenticated. So what we're going to do, we're going to say authorization bearer token send. We've got our user record. Fantastic. So now we can go through and start working on our resources. So let's come and go make resource, user resource. And you'll notice I'm not actually doing any versioning because I don't think something like this needs it. Right, come over HTTP, We've got our resources. We've got a user resource here. Property read user as resource. Clean some of this up. And this part here. So we're going to want the ID, this resource ID. We're going to want the name, the email. When was it created? So we need let's make a date resource. Now, I always add a date resource on APIs because it helps. Being able to control things like how this is outputted is actually pretty helpful. So I can do a property read on a carbon interface for the resource, which means that down here, I can output things in many different ways. So I can have the human output being this resource, if for humans. I can have a string, this resource to date, time, string. We can have that local time, this resource to date, time, local string. Finally, we can have a Unix timestamp being this resource timestamp. That all does that. So over in our main routes over here, instead of doing that, what we're going to do is return a new user resource where the resource is that. Let's just simplify it. Come back over to Aspen, send, and there we go. A little bit nicer, a little bit easier to use. One thing that I don't like is this data wrapper, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I think that will come later when I'm designing the API responses a bit more in detail. So the first thing that I'm going to want to do is have contacts. So make a model contact, migrate and factory. So come down to our database migrations here. So I did start planning parts of this out on linear, which is going to be pretty handy. So I can come over to my personal workspace, DevRel CRM. And what I've got is, this is our rough design. So we've got our API. We're going to have a web application, which will talk to it, and it can use Reverb to get kind of WebSocket connection. Got a database for Postgres. I just realized that's going to be really hard to see the arrows. So let's just quickly toggle that a second. We've got a CLI bit with Golang, and then we're going to have a raycast extension. So I can do something using raycasts and just do what I need. I can just go, I don't know, CRM, do something. CLI, I can do the same. And on the web, I can clickety-click to my heart's content. So we got a couple of milestones. We got the create API, web interface, raycast, and CLI. So these I haven't figured out an order yet, but we can come look at our issues. So we have started our data model. So for the data model, we might do something slightly different to what I've done here. I haven't quite decided yet, if I'm honest. The way that it looks like I've done this is that it's going to be a social auth with a live wire front end, in which case this is not going to work. So let's go and maybe fix that up. So what do we want? Let's clear all that. Composer, require, live wire, live wire. So first off, let's fix up that. Then if we come over to Bootstrap app, we aren't going to have that, but we will have the web routes. So it looks like I didn't pay attention to me. So web, let's add some routes in there. Routes.php. Use that, and then we'll add web routes a little bit later. So it looks like I wanted to do Sanctum Auth in general. So require web routes. Routes, web, routes. What did I do? Aha. Sanctum install. Strange. We'll figure that one out. So it looks like that API endpoint can be used, but it's not needed. So once I've got my contacts, we'll focus on that. I'll worry about the other stuff later. Not a big deal. Easy to fix. Right, so let's just fix that old file, do this, and we're going to have a ULID for the ID, the primary key. This is going to foreign ULID, belong to the user, index constrained on the users table, and we will cascade. Why am I opening Steam? That is not what I wanted to do. Let's just switch that, come over to linear, and there we go. So companies, contacts. We're going to work on our contact first. So this is what we're looking at here. So got a name, first, middle, last, and preferred, gender, birthday, title, email, socials, belongs to a user, can belong to a company. Right. Let's get going. Guten Morgen, cat. So, table, JSON for the name. So this is going to be a specific cast. So this name will be stored in a specific way because it'll be easier for me. What we also have is all of this. So what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to grab all that, come over to PHP Storm, and let's just drop it down the bottom. So we've got all of that stuff there. Already done the name. Right, gender, table, string, gender, nullable, go away ID errors. Right, birthday, what we're going to want is a table date, birthday, nullable, fantastic. Title, which is the job title. So we can then put this on here. So table, string, title, also nullable. The thing with CRMs is that you build the data up. That's the main thing. So then table, string, email, also nullable. And then we're going to have a table JSON for socials, also nullable to start with. So all of that, then we got belongs to a user, potential company, which we haven't actually got a table yet for, so we can say table foreign ULID for company ID nullable, and we'll just slap an index on it for fun. Slap an index for fun. Right, so there's all of that. What we've got is a way to give it a name. optional gender, optional job title, optional email, optional socials, belongs to a user. So we need a name and a user, and that's kind of all you need to start this off. So if we come over here, and what we're going to do is make a cast name cast. We're creating a name cast. So over there, what we're going to want to do is let's create a data object. And we're just going to create a name. So public function construct public read-only string first name, public read-only null string middle name, public read-only null string last name, and public read-only null string preferred name. So this is our name. Then we want to be able to create it. So public static function make based on an array of data, and we'll return a name. Return new name first, middle, last, preferred. This can be null. This can be null. Let's open that. Then we've got a way to turn it into an array so that we can store it in the database nicely. So public function to array, return the array, first, middle, last, preferred. So our namecast, let's just clean that up. There we go. So when we get it, we should be getting an array as a value. So param array value. Then when we're setting it, oh no, yep, nope, yep, I don't know what I'm on about. So we will also return a name. This will return an array, and the value will be a name. So what we will do is let's go to the factory for a contact and let's fill this in so we can understand how this might work. So model, contact class, let's add in a type in there. What is the return type? Well, it's an array of strings, string mixed. So name is going to be new name, where the first name is this faker first name. Middle, we're going to use another first name for that because that's common. Last, then we've got the preferred, this faker. What sort of name do we have? We've got name, color names, street names, first names. We're just going to go for like a username, maybe. That'll do, right? That'll work. So next up, we have got the gender. Nope. This faker can't do a gender. We're just going to null it out to start with. Let's not make assumptions. Then title is going to be this faker job title. Then email is going to be this faker unique safe email. I'm not too bothered about the unique part. Then we want socials. Woo. Right. Socials. Let's start with Twitter being this Baker username. What we're going to do, like that, we're pretty sure we've got that over here. So we just put the username is that. And down here, we're just going to use username. So username there. Let's see what I put on linear. Twitter, GitHub, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So Twitter, GitHub, LinkedIn, and YouTube. That's the things that we care about there. So then we can say that the user ID is user factory. And the company ID is null because we haven't created those yet. Right. Now let's have a look over here and say use has UL IDs, billable, name. Let's put that over there. So we've got name, gender, title, email, socials, user ID, and company ID. Screen, let's just clean that up and add our casts. There we go. How's everyone doing in chat? Yeah, gender has to be nullable. It's one of those, you don't want to assume someone's gender, and I'm okay with not assuming someone's gender, to be honest. So we have got name, which is namecast. Then we have socials, which is going to be as a collection. There we go. So on this namecast, when we get it from the database, this will be an array. So what we want to do is return name, make where the data is value name, I believe is how I need to do it. And then when we set it, we want to say name is going to be value to array. So let's come over to our Cedar over here, set this as a user. And what we want to do is say contact factory for user, going to be as an owner, count 10 and create. Let's come back to this contact itself, and we need to add that relation quickly. So public function owner belongs to, return this belongs to, so the related is a user, and the foreign key is that. Let's just do this. Return belongs to user, come over to user and say that it has many contacts. Public function contacts have many. Return this has many. Related contact foreign key user ID. Now, try it again. Argument array must be of type array, no given. Okie dokie 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 dokie. Database Cedar. 8 vendor frames. So something to do with how we're creating these contacts. So this should call the set. if I pass that through as an array, what's it going to do? Let's test it. Failed. Call to member to array on array. So, okay. This is what I don't like about casts. They're always a pain. Right, so name. Right, how do we do them in factories? That's what I always mess up with. So this faker first name. Let's just do this. And then middle is going to be that. Last preferred username, this faker username. Get rid of all that. Right, let's just do that. So if that's going to set it, that's going to come to the name here. What we want to do is just return. Let's just see what happens if we return value for now. So, undefined column, first of relation contacts. Perfect. So, name is the value. Argument array must be of type array, null given. What the devil is going on? Case sorts, query builder, make sure this case is a problem inserting these records. Okay, so for now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say that this is an array. And we will figure out the casting shortly. Let's just get the data in. Go to table plus, refresh, contacts. We've got some contacts. So first, middle, last, preferred, all good, all good. Excellent. So I can start working with some data. What's next? What's next? Let's add an endpoint. I guess we are building an API right now after all. So let's come down to our roots, come over to API. And what we want to do is say contacts. Use the root, and we're going to do a root get name index. In our HTTP controllers, I have to do some refactoring, I think. So let's do API there, and then let's put contacts there, and we could do an index controller. This will have a invoke method, invoke, you get the request, and we'll return something shortly. Here, let's now just go use app HTTP controllers API contacts. So down here we can say contacts index controller class. In our roots, we can then go middleware, auth sanctum, not group base. This is going to be our authenticated roots. So this will have a static function void there. Root prefix contacts as contacts. I'm going to group this base path where the path is that. Oh, lovely jubbly. So a root list. So we've got API, contacts, API auth login, all that stuff. Get rid of that, and we'll just delete that for now. So in our index controller, what we want to do is know the authenticated user. So public function construct private read only auth manager as auth. So then we can get the users or contacts using contact query where the user ID value this auth ID. Just going to get all of them for now, and we will just return contacts for this second. Right, come over to Aspen, and we're going to want to kind of re-log in. That one, auth login, API auth login. Drop that in there again. We now got a token that we can use here. So API contacts. Do a guess. Get request, unauthenticated, authorization is going to be bearer, token, send. Let's delete some of these. So there we go. We've got some stuff. Things are starting to look pretty good. I don't know who this person is. Some weird Twitch bot. I do apologize. Right. Okay. So I need a resource for this contact, so I can make a resource contact resource contact resource. There we go. Let's clean some of this up. So down here, our resource, we're going to have its ID. This resource ID, the name can just come straight out as a name because I organized that in the database. And for now, I think that's the main stuff I want to just pass back. Maybe we'll do socials too. Socials, this resource, socials, was created, new date resource. The resource is this resource created at. Send it again, and there we go. And contact resource collection come back to here, send it. And there we go. We've got name, socials, when it was created, and an ID. We got stuff that we can start working with. So that is all of that. Ignore those. So we got a contact. We can get a contact. We'll work on creating a contact in a little bit. What I want to do is try and make sure that I've got enough of what I know what's going on. So, I think that's been cancelled anyway. Looks like it's been cancelled. So, assign this to me. And this is in progress. This is also in progress and it's assigned to me. Let's do some organization quickly. Companies next. Next up, a make model company MF. Bit of MF on it, NDF. So let's look at our data model for this part. ULID, ID, primary key. This also, foreign ULID, belongs to a user. Constrained users, cascade, back to linear. So company, this is what we're going to have. This is all the information that we need for now. Drop that in there. So we're going to have a name, a nullable industry. Let's just table, string, nullable, and we're going to make that industry. Don't need to worry about that. That industry done. Right, description, table. What is going on with my typing today? So, table, text, description. Let's just add a string for the logo, nullable. Now the JSON columns. So table, JSON, keywords being nullable. URLs also nullable. And the reason I'm doing things like this is because I'm going to be using a third-party service to get some of this information, such as technologies. You know, what technologies does this company use? You know, these things are kind of useful when you're a developer relations person like me. Knowing who you're talking to, what they use, it's important. So URLs done, keywords done, technologies and description all done. Fantastic. That is our company. So that is looking good. Come over to our factory now, company factory, and let's just put that on this side. So cleaning up time. I'm not going to be creating enough models to make publishing the stubs really worth it, if I'm honest. Class string model, return an array of string next. So let's start with this. Name, this baker, company, industry, we're just going to go for like a word, this baker word. Logo is going to be an image URL. Description, we're going to go for real text, whether max. Non-breaking characters is, I don't know, 1,500. URLs, we're going to keep as null. Keywords is null. And technologies is null. User ID can then be the user factory. Use has URIDs. Billable stuff. Name, industry, logo, description. URLs, keywords, technologies, and the user ID. Spring. Looking good, looking good. Right, casts. Turn array. So what we have is our URLs. We're just going to cast back as JSON. Keywords as JSON, technologies as JSON, and that is all we care about. Public function owner belongs to a user. And there we go. Belongs to user. Whoever the user and say that the user has many companies. This has many. There we go, there we go. So far, so good. All of that's working. We can now migrate the companies table. Web linear. Companies is doing good. Then we got interactions. Right. So the idea of a CRM is to maintain your relationships and understand the interactions that you have with them. So if I come to here, I can say, make a new model called interaction. And we can start working on that. And I'm going to tidy all of this up behind the scenes at some point, because you probably don't need to see all of that boring stuff of watching me tidying. Right, so our interaction will have a ULID as the ID. And this will be a foreign ULID for the contact. We will index that, constrain it to the contacts table, and cascade. And we won't actually do anything with it. But we will have a type of interaction, which I'm pretty sure I created. So interaction management, here's what I thought of here. So if I come back over to this, come to create some enums, interactions, type enum, replace that. There we go. And what we're going to do, say that the default is type social media, for example. So the default interaction is going to be through social media. That's it. How can one get the recording? So you can watch it here or rewatch it on, I guess, YouTube, Twitch, any of those really. So let's come here. What we also want is summary, and that is it. So table, text, summary, make that nullable. For now, I will leave it like that. because I'm going to do some funky dunky AI stuff in the background on some of this, just for fun. So that's interactions. Then what we're going to want to do, just set up this factory, interaction, new. Class string to the model, then an array of string mixed. The type is going to be type social media. Summary, it would just be this like real text, just spit some stuff out, and then contact ID is just going to be a contact factory. That is it. So now to fill in the model, use has ULIDs, fillable, string, with a type, with a summary, and we've got a contact ID. So when we add an interaction, every interaction needs to be added with a note, like an outcome. Let me just come back to linear a second, and we can see that this is also in progress, not quite finished, but we're almost there. I'm going to come to notes next. So if I create a note quick, actually I need to do some casts. So casts here, return an array where the type is a type. That is an array. I'm going to turn an array of string, last string for now. Public function contact, turn this belongs to related contact foreign key is contact ID. Return belongs to contact, and a contact has many interactions. Right. Related interaction, foreign key contact ID. That bit's done. Let's add a note. So a make model note mf. So do note factory all the way down here, create notes. So there is this, fix that whole file, do that, and this will have a ULID, table foreign ULID for the user. And we'll cascade there. Then we're going to have some content of the note. And then we're going to be attachable. So table ULID morphs attachable. So notes are attachable to different entities. Is the main idea there. So come back over to our factory over here. So the note factory. And the way that I like to do this is, because this is a polymorphic relation, got to do it slightly differently. Just because, let's just say class string of model. This is going to return an array of string and mixed. The content of the notes is real text, and the attachable ID is going to be an interaction factory. Attachable type is the interaction class. And I think it's then just the user. So user ID is the user factory. So now on the note, we can say use has your IDs. Let's get some fillables going. String. There we go. So content, attachable ID, attachable type, and user ID. Public function, user belongs to, related, user, fine, there we go. Return belongs to user. Right, attachable now. So public function attachable is a morph to. So morph to, return this morph to, the name is attachable. This will return a morph to model, which could be a contact, a company, or an interaction currently. So it could be any of those. That is morphable. So what I'm going to want to do is in my models, I'm going to want to have a concerns and has notes. So has notes trait. Public function notes morph many. Return this morph many. What I can do is add a mix in of model. Where the related is the note class and the name is attachable. There we go. So our interaction use has notes. So let's just do all of that. Right, close all of that. Migrate all that stuff. And right, time for a brain break and have a little sip of coffee. Let's just, I just realized I've not said hello yet. Hi, we're building some cool stuff. You know, the kids at home, I can hear them in the background. Things crazy. So let's talk about this for a second. I'm going to open up Arc. And what I'm going to do is come to the raycast templates. So there's a really cool template here for like a CRUD admin panel. Bug tracker, team time, you know, people directory. So if you want to list your contacts, you can go through that. Or like the CRUD admin panel, you can add somebody new. You can go through and read, look at some information about someone, or just go do something like that. So this uses CRUD to get a temporary backend. That's kind of cool. But the idea is that I want to be able to come here and say, just like CRM, open it up and start working within my CRM so I can quickly get things from the API. However, when an interaction is logged, what I want to do is summarize it based on the note. So we need to say make a observer. This is going to be for the interaction observer. And that's going to be for the interaction. So if we open up that interaction observer, for now, we're just focusing on that created event. When we create this interaction, we're going to want to do something. So for now, we're just going to public function construct private read only. We're going to inject the dispatcher, the bus, then do something down here. So make a job. What job do we want to do? Interactions, summarize, interaction, and that's it. So summarize the interaction, basically. So you'll have this bus dispatch. The command we're going to dispatch is new summarize interaction, where the interaction is going to be this. That's what we care about right now. So let's make that read only. Come over to here, clean all that up, and then down here we can say public read only interaction. So what this is going to do is it's going to hit, I'm probably going to use a Llama API for this. If I can do like table plus, reload that. No interactions yet. Okay, so let's just add some quickly. Cedars database. So we've got 10 contacts. We want to map over each. And do something. So while we're mapping over each, what we want to do is company factory for, let's pass in the user as well. User as owner. Let's just double check that our company can belong to. No, we can't. So now down here we can say public function contacts have many. Return this has many related contact class foreign key company ID. All right, let's just make sure that this is in place. And on contact, we can do a belongs to company up here. So public function company belongs to, return, this belongs to, there we go. Belongs to company. So on our database Cedar, we're going to create a company factory for user as an owner for contacts create. What we also want to do is do an interaction factory for contact and do a count of 20 and create. Let's just migrate fresh and seed. Let's see what happens. We died. Okay, so undefined, get owner key name. So you don't know where that is. belongs to database seeder line 24. This bit here for contact. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it's not going to let me. So what I'm probably going to have to do is contact update where the company ID is this. Might be a nice way to do it, but for now, it's not me bother to think about it. I just want to get this part done so I can test it. All right, that's all that done. So now if I come to table plus reload, this is interaction summary. So if I just grab that interaction factory, that is going to be real text. Let's add a max non-breaking characters of 1,000. Let's make it something slightly bigger that AI might need to kind of think a little bit more about. So Arc, if we come over to Open Web UI, what we want to do is summarize this text. Ooh, model not selected. Wait a minute. Oh, Llama isn't running. That's why. There we go. Summarize this text. So that'll go through all of doing all of that stuff. Might take a second or 12. So you can do that. And basically this will end up being like notes from something. So then I can grab it, paste it in, and that interaction's got a summary based off of the note. Is the idea. So let's just close all of those. Right, where are we? Is my internet connection actually better? Oh my God, I don't believe it. Never happens to me. Well, I have made a start on the API. I am debating about just skipping that web thing that I was thinking of doing because I don't think it's going to be very useful because I want to do something a little bit different. So it might not make sense. So let's just delete those. We're going to stick to my guns. HTTP controllers, and we're just going to move that back a level, which means we can delete. And we're not going to worry about any front end as part of a Laravel application because who needs it? Who needs it? We're going to try something different. So the choices are going to be, let's go have a look. So something like Solid Start, which is kind of like new and fun, or SvelteKit, which is also fun. Or it could be, let's just go for like Nuxt. And I think that they're the only options that I'm really considering right now is Solid Start, SvelteKit, or Nuxt. Let me know in the comments which you think I should go for. I'm familiar with Nuxt. SvelteKit and Solid Start, I'm so not familiar with at all. So maybe that should be a different idea. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know. But we'll go through that. I'm going to call it a day there. I realised it's actually a bank holiday in the UK and I'm not meant to be working today. So I'm going to spend time with my family. You enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks for sticking with me. We'll pick this up tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Let me know. Drop me a comment. Give us a like. Subscribe. Follow, all of the kind of usual mumbo jumbo that we have to say. But thanks for being awesome and take care.